It's nice to be here today to talk about the importance of the Sustainable Development Goals. And we would love for your attention to be focused on what we're saying today, because we would like you to participate with your heart, with your creativity, and with your vision.
What we would like of you is to identify within these sustainable goals what people could actually contribute fantastic stories of their own experience, how their principles, their own spirituality help them in reaching these sustainable goals.
The Sustainable Development Goals were actually adopted at the United Nations in September of 2015. And it is an agenda that will go until 2030. So we have a period of time in which to bring to life these 17 goals and 169 targets. The goal number 1 is the eradication of poverty in all its forms, and then it goes through a number of different areas of life, of living, and of lifestyle. But what is most important with the Sustainable Development Goals that I think is of vital and optimum importance to the Brahma Kumaris is that it is set within a core of transformation. So we are looking at the spiritual phenomenon of transformation in relation to the Sustainable Development Goals. And we would like to look at this through life, living, and lifestyle.
So for instance, about poverty, if you know someone in your center that has been overcoming poverty by understanding his or her own worth through the own living of Raj Yoga, and has been able therefore to develop in his life into someone who has managed to live comfortably, that would be very valuable for you to ask this person to share his or her experience on a video selfie that would be sent to us, and we will that way collect an incredible amount of experience of spiritual people, of Brahmins who have been working on these goals by themselves.
The spiritual phenomenon of transformation in relation to life, living, and lifestyle is actually set within the spiritual trajectory of the Brahma Kumaris, and that is from awareness to action. So there is an awareness, there is an attitude, there is a perception or a vision of something, and then there is an action taken. This trajectory that we are so familiar with is something that constitutes what transformation is all about, but transformation that's coming from the inner self. So in inviting you to do these 3 to 5 minutes of video selfie, we would like you to capture this spiritual trajectory from awareness to action in life, living, and lifestyle, but it must be done in the area of reality, in the area of a reality that one can understand that the Sustainable Development Goals are not just policies and are not just words on paper, but it's actually impacting people's lives in the way that life occurs in a reality of the world in which we live. So we are calling this life-changing experiences. We know that life-changing experiences can only occur if I am in the rhythm of life, if I'm living that life and I'm observing the changes as they're occurring in the life that I'm living. And so whether it's you're looking at decent work, for instance, or you're looking at road traffic safety, or you're looking at climate change, or you're looking at women empowerment, you're looking at the level in which transformation is occurring at the way someone is experiencing life in a daily reality.
So let's say, for instance, that I know someone in the center where I am that has been undergoing a lot of violence in her childhood or in her married life. And I can see that this person has empowered herself through spirituality. So that would be a very good person to ask to share with us how was her trajectory, how did she empower herself and the impact it had on her life.
Yes, I think that the video selfies need to be very simple, but it needs to be focused more on an individual's experience. So that experience is so powerful that it's showing the impact of a personal experience on society or on the community, but it makes the Sustainable Development Goals come alive.
Exactly.
And so for women empowerment, an example such as that would be wonderful to show how one moves from a state of total vulnerability and total suppression through violence into freedom and into empowerment through some sort of of the inner work that was done, and how it contributes to showing that that particular empowerment of women, which the Sustainable Development Goals is focusing on, how it is something that is simple but yet very powerful and very impactful.
Mm-hmm. And for instance, if also around the subject of sustainability, let's say in your center you know someone who has a hotel, and that person actually started feeling that he or she wanted to be promoting sustainability through his work, and therefore started making differences in the way the sewage go to the ocean, or in the way he's supporting the people working with him or with her within the hotel premises. That could also be a very interesting story.
Yes, and that would contribute to climate change, for instance, and a way that they become eco-friendly, just as how in India, for instance, going solar is something that is, you see as soon as you come at the airport, you know, India is going solar. So what does that mean to someone in a village? What does it mean to someone in a town? What does it mean to an individual who makes the effort to choose solar energy? And so that individual's choice would be a powerful thing to share. What inspired them to do this? And how do they want to help others by that act of going eco-friendly?
And tell me a story about someone who has had an experience around decent work. What would we be interested for this person to share?
I think what we have to look at in sharing our personal experiences or looking at life-changing experiences is that, does the work I do bring me dignity? And then I call it decent. Is it remunerating me in a way that is comparable to the output that I'm giving, the contribution I'm making? Am I getting, you know, the remuneration accordingly? Or is it, and then that gives me my dignity, or is it that intrinsically I have dignity, I was born with dignity, and the work that I do, I bring that dignity to. And then whatever I get in return is an attainment, you would call it spiritually, an attainment that is giving value to that work that I do. So when someone is sharing it, I think in relation to decent work, they would not just look at earning the money from the work they do. And then, of course, it would include productivity and creativity and capacity building and all of that. So I think that's another selfie that would be very, very interesting. So it's not just flippant selfies we're asking for, but we are asking you to share something that has a depth to it, that has a spiritual connection to it, that makes it living and significant and profound in the way that life-changing experience happened. For instance, people are turning to drugs a lot more now. I know we always had my generation, the generation of the 50s, the flower children. That was an era of experimenting with drugs. Now children are just turning to it for survival, to deal with their depression, to deal with the things that they are going through. So are there young people who would like to share their selfie? Did they discover something about their life that was so significant, that significance of the discovery that they made, that elevated them, that put them on higher ground, was something that made them value their life and reaffirm the dignity and worth in their life. So then that was the catalyst that allowed them to give up the drug. Sharing that would be beautiful.
Yes, it would.
The other is also road traffic. How many deaths take place in a day on the roads? How reckless and how much of road rage there is. It's like a competition of the ego. Yes. It's a race of people's ego and anger on the road. So what kind of little road etiquette that could be introduced to allow me to not get caught in a road rage, to allow me to know that there's something like defensive driving? How do I share that I made a difference by just honoring defensive driving and doing something that was different and didn't get caught in this whole thing of road rage, knowing that once I'm in a car driving, or a passenger car, or a pedestrian on the street, there's a responsibility that goes with that.
And also, if we know in our close circle any person who is in a higher position and who has had to deal with briberies and all sorts of wrong attitude towards money, and how they have coped with it to maintain their own honesty, their own principles, and make sure that people around them are aware that honesty takes you far further than giving up on your own principles and walking and working with this system that's totally corrupt. So that could be a very interesting kind of video selfie too.
Yes, and I think now that we've given you so many examples of what we would like you to contribute, I think you've now understand the gist of this project, and I hope you will be able to participate, because the Sustainable Development Goals is saying leave no one behind. Everyone should be included. It's all about inclusion, it's all about empowerment, it's all about participation. It is saying to people, here's your agenda, it's the people's agenda, come, make it happen, help us make it happen. So we want the Brahma Kumaris to bring this energy to it and to show that how we're changing our lives through Raj Yoga, because Raj Yoga is not a theory and a practice only, but it is a lifestyle. So let's show the Sustainable Development Goals through the lifestyle of Raj Yoga, and let us show how it works.
Yes, and sometimes we do not value what we have learned. We're not able to actually look back and see how different we have become. And I think the Sustainable Development Goals gives you as a person, as a Brahma Kumari, an option to look at them and see in which aspects of your life you have been empowering yourself, and you have managed to have higher principles, and you have managed to help your community, your family, your children, your friends, because of that spirit that the Raj Yoga has given you.
Yes, and so we invite you to send your selfie 3 to 5 minutes at the URL that's given at the bottom of the screen. And thank you very much.
Goodbye. Good luck with your video selfies. And ask your friends to do them.